What's up, everybody? I'm here yet again with another book review. This time, another Fear Street book. This is The Rich Girl. I've heard that this book is really good from different people, and I was wondering when it was going to get good. Because the beginning of this book is pretty typical stuff. That's not necessarily a bad thing, it's things that I've already seen from R.L. Stine. And again, I've read all of these by R.L. Stine, so you're bound to see some repetitive stuff. The story is actually about. Well, let's start with the cover first. I really wanted to kind of show the cover off a little bit. This is kind of one of the more bland covers in the Fear Street series. There's some good ones, but this one's just pretty typical. It's got a girl holding money, sitting on a bench. I don't even think this scene happens in the book. There's no girl sitting. Like, they barely even touch the money, honestly. But that's really not where the good part of the book is at, honestly. The story starts off with these two girls named Emma and Sydney. Emma is a poor girl that her house is run down. She's got a beat up car, and her mom needs some kind of surgery. I think it's like a knee surgery or something. And the other girl named Sydney is this rich girl, lives in the Northern Hills part of Shadyside. So she's well off. Like, she doesn't need money, anything like that. And that's the interesting dynamic in this book, that it already starts off kind of different. Sydney has a boyfriend named Jason, and Emma doesn't really care for Jason. It doesn't really imply why she doesn't like him, I don't think, unless I looked over it, I'm sorry. But yeah, she doesn't really care for him. And long story short, they end up they work at this movie theater place, and they're taking out the trash, and the rich girl has this bracelet around her wrist, and it gets caught on something and falls into the dumpster. So they climb in the dumpster to try to find it, and they pull out a bag of money along with the necklace that's wrapped around it. And inside is $100,000. And it doesn't necessarily say why they know it's $100,000. They just kind of, there's a bunch of 50s in there, and they say it's 100,000. So these kids are really good at math, is what I learned from this book. So, and you'll see why in a little while. But they find this money, and the Emma girl tells Sydney not to tell her boyfriend about it, and they want to keep it. The rich girl wants to turn the money in to the police. She doesn't really need money, but the Emma girl does. So they try to talk. She tries to talk him into keeping the money. They compromise and say, "We'll hold on to the money until like the end of like 2 weeks or something. And if nobody claims it, nobody calls, nothing on the news happens, we'll spend it." So they hold on to the money, and the rich girl runs into her boyfriend named Jason, and he's like working on a car or something, and he accused her of cheating because she's been gone for a long time. And she breaks down and tells him, "We found a bunch of money. I wasn't supposed to tell you this and that." So after this, we get this pretty typical Fear Street dynamic where it seems like Jason is after Emma. They're in a hallway one day, and she falls down a flight of stairs and almost dies, and she says that he pushed her. Well, he says that he was pushed by another person. They got bumped into him or something. And to make up for it, after his girlfriend tells him, he decides to go work on her car and fix it up for her. And, it's a junker, so he's a mechanic. He fixes it. And they end up finding out that the brake lines were cut. So, of course, this leads back to Jason. And they decide the best way to get this all said and done is if they split the money 3 ways. And I really enjoyed this part because automatically they knew what 3 ways of $100,000 was. I cannot tell you without a calculator. These kids knew. 90s kids were smart, I guess. I didn't know this in the 90s. I didn't know this in high school. I would have to pull out a pen and paper to do that. But they automatically knew. That's logic for you, I guess. So anyway, they decide to split the money, and they go into the woods because Jason wants to see the money. He wants to go feel it and all that weird stuff. And they do. And this is where I'm going to leave you with the plot, because that's about as much as I can give away, because the second half of this book is totally different from the first half. It's like almost like a 2-in-1 kind of book, because it goes in a route that I did not expect. I kind of guessed part of the ending, but I didn't guess all of the ending. And the very, very ending surprised me, and it was good. Not quite for the cruelty of the surprise, but definitely a little bit of comeuppance for the evil person, is all I'm going to say. And I will point this out, and I'm not going to say any spoilers, but Rita from the Silent Night series has been notorious for being the worst character in Fear Street. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's a person in The Rich Girl that's worse than her. Because part of this ending, it reminded me a lot of The Best Friend, where R.L. Stine wrote that like people were mad because something happened towards the end of that book. This one was a little bit more I don't want to say frustrating, because it really didn't bother me that much, but it did kind of, like, wow, that's really it. Like, again, I guessed part of the ending, not the full extent. I didn't think the second half of the book was actually what was going to happen, and I was right to a point. I didn't expect it to go that way. But yeah, if I had to rate The Rich Girl, I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 5. And this was hard to rate because part of me really enjoyed the twist, and like almost so much that I was like, okay, R.L. Stine, you got me, because I did not expect that. But another part of me is just like, that wasn't really that good of an ending. It was surprising. It got me. That doesn't mean it's good. And this book was fine. Like, the first half was really typical Fear Street stuff. I mean, nothing was really bad about this book. It was kind of dull at the beginning, but a lot of the earlier Fear Street were like that too. So that didn't bother me that much. Yeah, I enjoyed a good majority of this book, especially the second half, because there's some good gore and some weird stuff that would actually be pretty scary if it actually happened. But yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. Have you guys read The Rich Girl? Let me know what you thought in the comments below. This is one of the better ones, but not the great ones. So yeah, The Rich Girl, I give it a 3 out of 5. Nothing too special, but definitely a memorable ending. And definitely there's 2 memorable endings of this book. So yeah, this is one of the more memorable ones. I'm glad that it did do those twists too, because this would have been pretty forgettable if it would have been just about the money. And I guess it is. It's just a little bit, there's more substance to it in the second half, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's it for me. 3 out of 5 stars for me for The Rich Girl. What did you guys think about it? Please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.